Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. In the middle of our New York Comic Con coverage, I also wanted to be hitting you guys with a lot of interviews with a lot of creators because that's one thing that these virtual panels couldn't do, and we've had a tremendous opportunity to talk to some really amazing, unique creators lately, and I've been loving it. Speaking of loving it, I had the opportunity to sit down with the Addams family. It's Toby Poser and John Adams, not the old 60s show or the 90s revival or the 2020 revival. Toby Poser and John Adams are a husband and wife, filmmaker, actor, director, editor, creative team, and they started doing movies as a family with their two daughters. And when I heard about this family and this concept, I was blown away, and I just said, why hasn't anyone else done this, especially in the age of COVID? The Addams family takes it to another level. They're not just making silly little videos or off the cuff like TikTok videos. They are making movies, and it's awesome. So I had the opportunity to sit down with them as they were hanging out in an RV making their next movie with one of their kids. It's really, really cool. I just can't get over that concept and the fact that no one else that I know of is really doing that. And they all get in on the writing. They all get behind the camera. They all get in on the acting. They make these awesome, dramatic movies, and they kind of are moving into the world of horror with still experimenting with like the family aspect of it. And it's just such a unique opportunity to be able to talk to people who saw this opening and jumped on it and are really knocking it out of the park. Their movies are also all available through Amazon, so it's super easy to find them. It's not there's nothing obscure about getting a hold of their movies, and I highly recommend you do. They have a new one coming out called The Deeper You Dig, which is one of the coolest titles for a horror movie I've ever heard. I got a chance to check it out before talking to them, so some of the conversation is in that realm, but even if you haven't seen it yet, it's a great conversation. They're really awesome creative people, very inspirational, so if you are any kind of creative, you will love this.
Let's rock and roll.
All right. Well, obviously your newest movie, I knew I was going to flub something right away. The Deeper You Dig. I was going to say Dig Deeper. I'm like, no, that's not it. It's cooler than that. But then I went through the other movies you made, and they all have really cool titles, but they all have really unique concepts, too. So I kind of wanted to ask about how you guys first started getting into the entertainment business, and then together, too.
Well, about 10 years ago, we were living in Los Angeles, and I'd been primarily acting, and my roles were really drying up. And I was kind of, moaning a lot about that. And John just kept saying, we should write our own films. And John had a history. He's an artist, and it was really easy for him to take up the camera. And I'd been on a lot of sets, and he'd been on some sets, and our kids were into it. So we got an old RV, and we just hit the road for a year, and we kind of learned the ropes. We made our first film, Rumble Strips, and now we've made 5 or 6 films since.
That's awesome. And John, what were you doing prior to directing, writing, acting, everything?
I'd been a model for a long time. I had been in some really fun bands that were like punk party bands. And actually, the reason we had moved to Los Angeles because I was on a little TV show for a little while. And that's where I kind of saw, I really enjoyed hanging out with the production crew and the cameramen and the sound people and kind of learning about that. And that's when I said to Toby, hey, I think that we could do this. With technology advancing so much, it really works for people like us. And that is what happened. We filmed our first movie over a year, and technology just was our friend. It was really cool that people like us could make a movie.
For sure. And I love the concept. I guess it started with Rumble Strips, that your whole family's involved and you're all doing it, and you're the writers and creators and actors, and it's just the family unit. I thought that was such a cool concept, and I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
We were lucky. Everybody wanted to do it. Everybody wanted to do all aspects of it too. So we really kind of all grew together, and now it's kind of a way of life, and we're super lucky. It wasn't planned, but it really worked out.
And the funny thing is, we're in an RV again. We've kind of come full circle. We're in a trailer right now because of COVID. And our younger girl, Zelda, who's now 16, she she's remote learning anyway. So we just said, hey, let's do it again.
Yeah, I
So
guess
if you
now's
hear
the time.
trucks whizzing by, it's because there's great internet here in Idaho. Where are we?
I don't even know.
We're in some town in Idaho.
Okay, that's awesome. It's a really unique lifestyle, especially like for your kids to kind of grow up. You know, she's doing the distance learning, so she's not missing out on school, but she's making movies and with family, and that's really cool. It's kind of melding the world.
Very lucky for us.
Do you find there's any I don't know if tension's too strong of a word, but you're constantly working together on the set, and your movies have some pretty intense subject matter, and it's your family, so there's not like, okay, I'm going to leave work there and then go home. You're all living in close quarters. Is that like kind of, not to get too personal?
No, everyone, that's a great question. And the answer is no, we don't have much tension. I think maybe on our first movie, we had a learning curve about how to not be stressed. But this is our 5th movie now, so everyone knows the pitfalls, and we all know each other's strengths and each other's weaknesses. We also know how to communicate so that there is no stress. I would say our movies have become less and less stressful, and they didn't start out stressful in the first place.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad it's working. And you guys said you were based in LA when you started, but a lot of your movies also take place in upstate New York. And I want to ask about that because I'm in upstate New York right now. So it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. LA to New York to LA to New York.
Where are you?
Near Albany.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's where we bought our RV.
Oh, awesome. Look at that. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, we're in the Catskill Mountains. So we're about 2.5 hours from Albany. And we're in Albany a lot because Zelda is a soccer player and she plays there a lot.
Oh, okay.
But we've been living in the Catskills now. I think that we're on our 4th year. And it's beautiful up there. And as you can see in this film and in our others too, it's just super cinematic. You know, each season is so cool and keeps giving you all these great colors and natural strength. So we love shooting there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's probably a lot quieter and calmer than living in Los Angeles.
Absolutely. And then speaking of Los Angeles, we did shoot one movie out in Los Angeles, and one of the great things about shooting in the Catskills in our community is people are very helpful, and everyone kind of knows us. So we don't have to worry about permits. We don't have to worry about getting like charged like crazy amounts to use locations and things like that. Like people really work with us. And that is one big advantage of upstate New York.
Nice.
Beyond its beauty.
Right. Yeah. It is very cinematic. Like Toby was just saying, it's really, the scenery in the Catskills and everything is like, it's definitely the Northeast, and you can see it, you know, with the winter and everything. So it gives you all that production value without having to pay for it.
Absolutely. It's a real character.
Do you use locals to fill in the roles in your movie? Like the Deeper You Dig only had a few characters outside the family, and they did a great job.
Most definitely, yeah. My mom plays Mrs. Minsky, the woman that I'm bilking of her $50 to talk to her dead husband. And then we have other locals. The cops are actually former detectives and cops. And we couldn't have struck it luckier than getting them, because not only did they know what they were talking about, but they were just so great and natural.
Yeah, you could definitely believe them, but it had a very authentic feel to it, which I really liked.
And the deli worker owns that gas station deli, and the guy on the bridge lives right next to the bridge, and he's famous for being a troll on the bridge. So we really love to have local people just play themselves, and I think they enjoy it too. And it's a great way to kind of capture history also.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So all your movies they're all very different. You don't seem to have like a common thread. I mean, I guess family could be, but they're not like all supernatural. You know what I mean? And I don't want to ask the super cliche question of where do your ideas come from, but how does it work going from one tone to the next? It's something, you know, the third totally different.
Well, that's a great question. What do you think?
That is a good question. You know, I think we love to stay on our toes. A lot of the time, our ideas will come up with just something spontaneous. Often John just has great ideas and we just like, okay, that's great. And we jump on board. With this supernatural, you know, our first 4 films were dramas. And then John and Zelda made The Hatred, which is a kind of long visual poem. And that was kind of a teaser, an appetizer of horror, and it was that made us jump into The Deeper You Dig. I think we love, if something's really on our heads or in our craw, we just have to do it.
Yeah, and also what we noticed by making The Hatred was that the horror community is incredible. Like they let you take chances. They're always hungry for more. They're a really, really great community. And so after making The Hatred, plus the fact that we loved making a horror movie, we all wanted to make one together because Toby's really good at drama and she's good at like having a nice circular story. And Toby's really our real writer out of the crew. And on The Hatred, she was actually writing a script, so she wasn't as involved. And we wanted her to be heavily involved in The Deeper You Dig. And I think what happens is by having Toby involved in that horror movie, it's basically a real drama wrapped in blood and guts. And that's what was so fun about The Deeper You Dig.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like you really sold the kind of bereavement aspect, and you really don't notice that there's something supernatural going on. I mean, you obviously notice it, but it's not like it takes you out of the drama. So that's cool how that worked out.
Yeah, it was really fun to do. And it was really fun to shoot the 7 circles being like a metaphor for, the 7 stages of grief. So it was a lot of fun. And the horror community is so cool, letting us take chances. And, we get criticized, and that's great too, because we're learning and we're here to have fun and to continue kind of growing as filmmakers, hopefully.
Yeah. Are you working on multiple projects at a time? Because you guys are making them pretty quick.
Well, we're always, John's always writing, he writes all the music for the film, and Zelda also plays drums and sings on all of them. So that's always going on. But right now we are definitely, we're shooting our next film called Hellbender, which has a really kind of, I'm trying to avoid using the word witchy, but it definitely has a witchy slant.
Nice. Who comes up with the titles? The titles are so good.
Oh, cool. Yeah, titles are so fun. Actually, everybody's come up with the titles. There is no title maker. It's been, I think each movie, somebody's come up with the title. So we're all involved in that. But Hellbender's really exciting to be making. And what's fun is one of the things we learned about The Deeper You Dig is they liked the drama and the relationship between Toby and Zelda. And so Hellbender is the story of a mother and a daughter and the secrets that they keep and the secrets that they can't hide.
Nice. Okay. I think I cut you off before. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Right before I said the title thing, I thought John was going to say something. Sorry about that.
No, cool. Not at all. Just that we all just do the titles together. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you said you're all a writing team. Do you still write like the traditional script and it's every last piece of storyboard, or are you a little bit more free because you've been working together so long that you don't need to write the dialogue exactly? You just write like a mother-daughter moment. And
we're very free. I like to write something because I like to have a template just to jump off from, but we rarely stick to it. I just like to have something written down so we don't miss anything that was really key. But usually we just start from there, and then everyone throws in their 2 cents, and including Zelda. And yeah, so it's very loose.
That being said, though, Toby does write out these scripts because she likes to see the circle of the scripts, but then we kind of all fly by the seat of our pants. And also, we're lucky because we can go down a location and shoot, bring it home and edit and learn from it. And I would say probably 98% of the time we go back and reshoot because we learn what's good and what's not good, what looks good, what sounds good, and we try to fix our mistakes. So it's lucky that we're doing the whole process because we can fix our mistakes within a couple days.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's a huge benefit, I'd imagine.
Yes, absolutely. And it's fun too because we all get to come home. I'll do a rough edit. We'll look at it and we'll decide, well, is this working? Is this not working? Are we getting what Toby wants in terms of the big story? And so I think the answer to your question is it's a combination of we do have a story, but we'd like to fly by the seat of our pants.
Nice. Yeah. And you were mentioning that you guys do the music, because that was one thing that I found was really cool in The Deeper You Dig is that the scenes were very quiet at times, and then like just enough punctuation with the score or the music that I was going to ask about that. And it makes sense that it's all in your brain and you're doing the music, so you know exactly what you need, where you need it.
Well, yeah, you know, like I love to kind of, before I know what's happening in it, before I see things, I love to just sit around and mess around with music and sounds so that I'm completely free and not locked into anything. So generally what happens, like what happened even with Hellbender and what happened with The Deeper You Dig, is I'll spend a couple months just dumping out tons of sounds and tons of songs and lots of music. And then I start to put it in on the visuals as they come in to see what works and what doesn't. So I probably don't use about, 90% of what I create. And then that 10% fits, because when you see the visuals and you're watching the story, you like to throw on some sounds and they'll tell you whether they work, just like an edit tells you whether it works.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that description.
It's so fun. I love doing it.
Also, John's really kind of fun because he'll be, let's say he's downstairs, cooking a hot dog, I don't know. And then Zelda and I will be upstairs. And if a floor creaks a certain way, he'll say, wait, do that again. And then he'll take the mic downstairs and he'll record it. And we'll just step on that board over and over till we get the sound he wants. Or if the coyotes start howling, in the woods, he's very spontaneous and fun. Also, one of the key sounds in The Deeper You Dig was this old piano that was in the house that John actually was restoring, that the house we shot in. And so he took apart the old piano and had all the strings inside, like the guts of the piano, and they just make the coolest sounds.
That's awesome. And the house was something else I wanted to ask about, because through the movie you could see the progression on the work. And I was like, okay, well, they either know somebody who's renovating or they are actually just flipping a house while they make a movie.
Yeah, that was how I made my money for the last 2 years. And that kind of reverts back to one of your original questions, which is, how do you green light one of our projects? Well, we green lighted our project because that house was so beautiful. As I was tearing it apart, I was like, you guys, we had a lot of story ideas. And I was like, we could shoot this particular story idea because this house is just calling for it. So that house and the beauty of the skeleton kind of feel of it just said, start shooting. And that's exactly what happened. We started shooting inside that house and then the story just ran.
And it really became a character all its own, the house, because as John's character progresses with the haunting of Echo, so does the house start to grow skin and change and transform. So the house really became I'd say the fourth main character of the film.
And it's funny because we were hoping that the house would be completely finished at the end of the movie as a metaphor for, the end of the movie.
Right.
But any carpenters out there know that everything takes twice as long. So
for sure.
It got like 60% finished.
I definitely feel what you were saying with it being an extra character. And I like that it also helped define some passage of time. Because you see the outside, and then the next time you see it, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't a few hours. This isn't even the next day. There's been some time here.
Yep.
Very cool. I did have one more question on writing that I forgot to ask. It's a family thing, and you're obviously all into it, and your kids are into it. Is it ever tough to write some of the more brutal stuff? I mean, it's not your child in context of the character, but it is your child.
I'll say from my point of view that yes, I had a hard time with the bathtub scene, where sometimes it's just hard for me to tip off my mother's hat, and that was one of them. I was just so uncomfortable, and I knew it was necessary for the story, and to feed the revenge that was going to come. But that was really hard for me. No, it wasn't hard for Zelda though; she liked it.
Yeah, luckily. Like Zelda just got us to rewatch Kick-Ass again, because so that's like, that's what she wants. She wants that kind of like completely rude, no rules kind of movie making. And so it's good to have a kid like that on your side so that you don't feel guilty and you can run with that crazy ball. It's a lot of fun to work with her.
if a little twisted.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
she definitely pushed the murder scene pretty hard, and it was good because it's brutal and sad and can be very uncomfortable.
For sure, and that bathtub scene is exactly what made me think of the question. I was like, "Ooh, that's."
We had a lot of back and forth. Even like shooting it was not arguments, but we discussed it a lot. And then in the editing process, we re-edited, edited a lot because that whole your question is perfect, which is this appropriate? How much do you do? What do we do here? And so I think we cut a nice medium from what we all the things we shot.
For sure, and especially with the way it was all framed, which kind of leads me to the next thing I wanted to talk about is. Did you both shoot the movie?
Oh yeah, we all John and Zelda take on the director of photography roles because they really have a great mastery of what looks good. But we all get behind the camera. Like if Zelda's in school, I'll be shooting John. Sometimes John will shoot himself, but we all can use the camera, including our other kid who was in college, so she wasn't there for this one. But yeah, we've all learned how to use the camera over the years. And but Zelda is really.
Yeah, one of the things that Zelda brought to The Deeper You Dig that wasn't necessarily in the other movies in terms of cinematography was camera motion. Like it was really important to her that we had a lot of camera motion. And she did a great job bringing that to the film. And some of the best shots of the movie are Zelda's hand. She's got a super steady hand and she has a really fun vision. So she's bringing some really great things as she grows as an artist to what we're doing. It's a lot of fun to learn from her.
That's awesome. And does she have any formal training, or is she just kind of picking it up as she goes and she just sees it?
Same as all of us. We all just shoot together and we just learn. And it's nice to go to all these festivals and to read the reviews because you're taught what you're doing well and what you're not doing well. Mm-hmm. And she goes to all these festivals and reads all the reviews too. So she can see what's going on. And so we're all learning together. And that's the training is right there. Just reality.
Yeah, it's interesting because she's a junior in high school and she's starting to think about college, and people always ask her, are you going to go into film? And she doesn't know because she's learned so much and she knows a lot. I mean, she could learn more, obviously, and she doesn't know how to use all the fancy equipment other than a Canon camera that a lot of productions use. But now she knows how to use a drone for our new project. She knows how to use the gimbal steady
cams, yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see whether she sticks with it, but she loves cinematography.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't even know if college would be necessary at this point for film school because you guys are doing it. You're nailing it. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
And along with the shooting, the editing was perfect. There was a lot of stuff. Like I remember there was one shot where as soon as there was a hit, it cuts to the well and you know where it's going next. And it's like small movements that just instantly explain everything.
Well, that's super nice of you to like the edits. I love editing and we're definitely learning. One of the things about when you film, when you're making the movie and you're editing the movie, you do fall in love with like what you've done because there's a lot of emotions in it. It was a great day. We had a lot of fun. It was really, so editing can be hard because you need to, as Toby says, you got to get in as late as possible and get out as early as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think we're getting better and better at just cutting to the bone. And I think The Deeper You Dig is the best edited film we've done. And so the way we do it is I'll edit about 80% of the movie and of a scene. And then when I'm comfortable, I'll say, okay, everybody sit down and we'll look at it. And then Toby and Zelda will cut a ton after that. Or they'll say, can we look at other options? So we have a process now that we all feel really comfortable with, and it moves pretty fast. That way it's a lot easier. When you're 80% done, it's too hard to edit by, by board. You know what I mean? By committee.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's really good that they let me, basically edit the thing, and then they come in and we just trim the fat and we're done.
Oh, that's awesome. And along with the editing is your special effects, because a lot of that was, maybe not a lot, but some of that was edit-based too, where she'd be there and then you throw the shovel, she's not. And it was seamless. Do you guys also do your own special effects?
No, we have the most wonderful guy who's the honorary fifth member of the Addams family. His name's Trey Lindsey, and he did our all the computer generated special effects, and he's just so wonderful. And the best thing about him is he's a yes guy. You know, you could say to him, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" And he'll just say yes. You know, and he'll figure it out. And if he doesn't already know how to do it, and he loves film, he knows everything in every film on the planet. So we got really lucky.
Yeah, we've learned so much from him, and we'll tell him what we want, and he will tell us how to shoot it in a way that we can have as much organic reality as possible, so that he has to do it as little computer as possible. And he is a wonderful person to do art with.
That's awesome. And there was one scene in particular, I don't want to give anything away, but the Sawzall, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
How much of that was practical and how much of that was digital? Because it did not ever look like it changed from actor to digital.
So are you talking about the Sawzall where the kid is involved, or the Sawzall where only the man is involved?
Just the man.
Yeah, so we love the Sawzall. In fact, just a quick thing is, I was telling a cop about those scenes, and he's like, "Well, you know, murderers never use Sawzalls. It's too messy." So, which is great because our scene was pretty messy.
Yeah.
No, that was Trey talking us through the entire thing, and that was his intelligence of telling us how to shoot. We shot a lot of extras so that it all looked as real as possible. So that was all Trey, and it was a great combination of organic and digital.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, they really upped the game on the special effects just then.
Yes, I love that scene. We loved shooting it, and in our next movie, we're working on doing things like that. We're not going to overdo special effects, but now Trey and us are really working through those moments that are very important in horror, you know, to have really good, honest effects that don't take you away from the reality of the story.
Right. Yeah. Just enough to hit and go.
Yeah. And just be like, what the hell was that?
Exactly. Yeah. And how about the makeup? You had some really cool makeup effects too, especially when Echo first kind of reappears and her face is.
That was Trey again.
Yep. That's Trey.
Wow.
Yep. He's wonderful.
So that was a digital effect.
The one when she's in the doorway?
Yeah.
Yes, that was.
Oh wow! I would have bet money that was practical.
Yeah, that was really cool. No, it is kind of practical because he filmed the 3 different elements in his garage. So it's not like some fake thing. They're all real things, but they're moving parts that he knows how to put together.
And he had, I think, an 8-year-old kid. She's older now, Sam, who helped him out. So, for instance, in the scene when Echo's floating, I think those are his kid's feet, his kid's legs. So he gets his kid involved too.
Yeah.
In Monroe, he's from Monroe, New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. Small world.
Yes.
That is so cool. Well, I really loved it. I'm going to be trying to track down your other movies. Do you know, are they available for people listening to?
Yeah. Well, everything you can check out trailers and access them from our website, which is wonderwheelproductions.com. All of those previous films are on Amazon.
Oh, great. That won't be hard to track them down. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I don't want to eat up your whole day because I'm sure you're doing a million different things at once.
This is great. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again. It was a lot of fun talking to you guys. I'll probably think about a million more questions as soon as we stop, but I loved it. And I love the family unit doing it. It just makes it seem so possible. And why isn't everyone doing this?
Why aren't they? Because it's a really good deal.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for the support and the really smart questions. That was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, this was a pleasure.
Hey, where in Albany are you? Which community?
I'm actually up in Ballston Spa, so a little bit north of Albany.
We love that town.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love that town. That's right below
Skidmore?
No, yeah, right. It's right below Skidmore. But what's that really?
Saratoga.
Yeah, it's right below Saratoga.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I think your town is wicked. I love that.
Thank you. That's awesome that you even know it.
Oh, definitely. Whenever people talk about what's the famous one that I keep forgetting?
Saratoga.
Yeah, Saratoga. Whenever they
Yeah, the
talk about that, I'm
racetrack.
like, no, you got to go to the town before it. That's the really cool town.
Much quieter
right?
here, yeah.
Well, cool.
Very cool. Keep us in mind, your next movie, whatever, we can do this again and we can promote you guys in any way possible because this was great.
Well, thank you.
Love to. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys again and good luck with everything.
Enjoy the rest of your fall.
Bye.
Thanks, you too. Bye. Once again, that was the Addams Family. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. I wanted to keep them on Zoom for 6 more hours, just picking their brain and getting inside the inner workings of their organization, company, production house, whatever you want to call it. Just to reiterate, their newest movie is The Deeper You Dig. It's put out by Arrow Media. It is very, very cool. It's very well done. Their other movies that we talked about in the interview can all be found on Amazon. And I want to thank them again for taking the time for coming on, and I hope we get to talk to them again down the line for their next project, because I'm sure it's going to be something else unique and something else totally awesome. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Forgot to say it up at the top. I always do. But please remember to subscribe to our channel. Helps us grow our audience. A lot more New York Comic Con coverage coming. We're getting back to the AFI 100 list. Lots of stuff going on. You don't want to miss out. Also, So Wizard Podcast is updated every single week wherever you get your podcasts. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get bonus shows. Be sure to check out SoWizardPodcast.com for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments or get a hold of us on social media. All of our accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. Thanks again.